What's up guys, it's Cal, and in this video we'll be taking a look at Mistweaver monks in the battle for Azeroth beta. We're going to be taking a look at their baseline abilities as well as their passives, then we'll be looking at their talents and PvP talents. Now just like my other overview videos, the purpose of this is not meant to tell you which talents to pick for the best healing, or if Mistweaver is one of the best specs at healing. This is merely to show you what's to come. So, let's get started. So here are all the baseline abilities for the Mistweaver monks. We got paralysis. You know, all monks have this. It's a CC. The only change to paralysis is its cooldown is going up from 15 seconds to 45 seconds. I don't really know why they made that change, but hey, it's a change, I guess. And you can only, use it on one target. Damage will cancel the effect. It's a CC. We know what paralysis does. Detox is unchanged. 8-second cooldown. You can remove all magic, poison, and disease effects from a friendly target. So it's not changed at all. Crackling Jade Lightning is also not changed. You channel Jade Lightning, causing some nature damage over some amount of seconds to the target, and it sometimes knocks back melee attackers. So it's not changed. Blackout Kick is also not changed. A cooldown based off your haste. It's not a very long cooldown, and you can kick an enemy with Chi energy, dealing some physical damage. Tiger Palm, also not changed. It's just a basic melee attack. Rising Sun Kick, also not changed. A cooldown around 10-ish seconds based off your haste. And it also just does physical damage. And then Leg Sweep is actually becoming baseline. So this used to be a talent, and now they just added it to baseline for all monks actually. And it pretty much does the same thing as on live. It just has two changes to it. So its cooldown is being increased from 45 seconds to 1 minute, and it's still an AoE stun, but the AoE stun's duration has been decreased from 5 seconds to 3 seconds. So they've pretty much taken this movement in BFA of nerfing or getting rid of all AoE stuns. So monks should be glad that they're at least keeping Leg Sweep, because I play a hunter. Binding Shot is getting nerfed to the ground. Like, I love Binding Shot. It used to be an AoE stun, now it's becoming an AoE root. I don't know how that contributes to this video at all. Anyways, Spinning Crane Kick is not changed. You spin while kicking in the air, dealing physical damage over some amount of seconds within 8 yards. And then there's Fortifying Brew, which is also not changed. 1.5 minute cooldown, turns your skin to stone, increasing your current health and maximum health by 20%, and reducing damage taken by 20% for 15 seconds. So yeah, as I said, it's not changed. Now, Renewing Mists, really the only change to it, well, I guess it kind of has two changes to it, is first off, you probably notice it has 2 charges to it. 9-second recharge. Renewing Mist has 2 charges. So it surrounds the target with Healing Mist, restoring some health over 20 seconds, okay? If Renewing Mist heals a target past maximum health, it will travel to another injured ally within 20 yards. So those parts are still the same. Now on live, it has a 4% chance to increase the healing of Vivify by 40%. That's no longer part of Renewing Mist, as you can tell. So yeah, and now Soothing Mist. So Soothing Mist is going back to becoming an ability. It became a passive in Legion, so now it's an actual ability that you cast. And I believe its effect was changed a bit. So it heals a target for some amount of health over some amount of seconds while channeling. Enveloping Mist and Vivify may be cast instantly on the target, and then each heal has a chance to cause a gust of mist on the target. And then we have Vivify. So it causes a surge of invigorating mist, healing the target for some amount, and all allies with your Renewing Mist active for another some amount. So that second part is new, I believe. It'll now heal all allies who have Renewing Mists on them. And then we have Essence Font, not changed, 12-second cooldown. It's, AoE heal 6 allies with a bunch of healing chi bolts, whatever. Gust of Mists will heal affected targets twice, castable while moving. So Essence Font is not changed. Enveloping Mist is also not changed, wraps the target in Healing Mist, healing them for some amount over 6 seconds, and increasing healing received from your other spells by 30%. So yeah, not changed. Then there's Thunder Focus T, 30-second cooldown, and it has some changes to it. You receive a bolt of energy, empowering your next spellcast. For Enveloping Mist, on live what it would do is it would make your Enveloping Mist instant cast. It doesn't do that anymore. It makes it have an immediate heal. Then for Renewing Mist, its effect was changed, so duration is increased by 10 seconds. On live it would make it not trigger its cooldown. Doesn't do that anymore. Vivify, that effect is the only one that's unchanged to Thunder Focus T. So Vivify still, if you activate Thunder Focus T, no mana cost for Vivify. And then Rising Sun Kick's addition is new actually. So your cooldown's reduced by 9 seconds if you use Rising Sun Kick. And it no longer affects Essence Font, and it no longer affects Effuse, because if you look at all my baseline abilities, Effuse is not a thing anymore. None of the monk specs have a fuse. And then taking a look at Life Cocoon, its cooldown was actually reduced from 3 minutes to 2 minutes, and that's the only change to it. So that's a pretty big buff, I feel like. 3 minutes down to 2 minutes. It still encases the target in a cocoon of chi energy for 12 seconds, absorbing some amount of damage and increasing all your heal over times received by 50%. To the person with the cocoon on them. Revival is not changed. 3-minute cooldown. It's your, main healing cooldown. Heals everyone in the party for a large amount, and it clears all harmful magic effects, poisons, and disease effects. And then there's roll, which is not changed. 2 charges, 20-second recharge. Yeah, it's not changed. Transcendence is also not changed. 10-second cooldown. You split your body and spirit, leaving your spirit behind for 15 minutes, and then you can use Transcendence Transfer to go to that location. Now, Transcendence Transfer had its cooldown increased from 25 seconds to 45 seconds for whatever reason, but yeah, it was increased. And then Zen Pilgrimage is, of course, not changed, because why would they change it? 1 minute cooldown, and it ports you to this lovely place, the Peak of Serenity in Kunlai Summit. But yeah, not changed, of course. Provoke is a taunt you use on targets and they charge towards you. It's not changed. Resuscitate is, your normal res. You can res a target to 35% health and mana. It is not changed. Not castable in combat, of course. And then Reawaken is your AoE res, which is also not changed. So now let's take a look at the passive abilities. So for Mastery, just one tiny change to it. Not really change, but it no longer affects a fuse, because as we mentioned, a fuse is removed. So Renewing Mist, Enveloping Mist, and Vivify cause a gust of healing mist, instantly healing the primary target for some amount. So it does not affect the fuse. Now, a Mystic Touch is actually new. All monk specs are getting this. Your damage weakens the target, increasing physical damage taken by 5%. So that's a really interesting ability, I feel like. It's a nice ability, but that is newly added. And the Teachings of the Monastery is not changed. Tiger Palm causes your next Blackout Kick to strike an additional time, stacking up to 3 times, and then Blackout Kick has a 15% chance to reset the remaining cooldown on Rising Sun Kick. Now let's take a look at the talents, and then we'll also go over PvP talents in case you care about those. And there's a good amount of changes to the talents, some changes here and there. Mist Trap had an effect removed from it, so it still increases Enveloping Mist duration by 1 second and its healing bonus by 10%, but the effect removed is it no longer allows Soothing Mist cast while moving. And then Chi Wave is not changed. You can use Chi Wave on a friendly target or enemy. It'll damage enemies, it'll heal friendly targets, 15-second cooldown, and it bounces around 7 times to targets within 25 yards. So it's not changed. Chi Burst, also not changed. 30-second cooldown. You use it in a straight fashion. It will damage all enemies it goes through, heal all allies it goes through, including the monk. The second tier, level 30 tier, is actually not changed at all. Clarity reduces the cooldown of roll by 5 seconds and increases its maximum number of charges by 1. Not changed. Chi Torpedo replaces roll, 20-second cooldown. Torpedoes you forward a long distance and increases your movement speed by 30% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 2 times, because it has 2 charges, because it replaces roll. But it's not changed. And then Tiger's Lust, you can use it on a friendly target or yourself. 30-second cooldown. It will increase their movement speed by 70% for 6 seconds and get rid of all roots and snares. And then for the level 45 tier, Life Cycles. Enveloping Mist reduces the mana cost of your next Vivify by 25%. On live, it's 20%. Vivify reduces the mana cost of your next Enveloping Mist by 25%. On live, that's 20%. So it did get a buff, which is nice. Spirit of the Crane is not changed. It's passive. Teaching in the Monastery causes each additional Blackout Kick to restore 0.65% of mana. And then Manatee was moved up from the last tier, so it was moved up quite a bit. Still 1.5 minute cooldown, reduces the mana cost of your spells by 50% for 12 seconds. So that's going up from 10 seconds on live, so a little bit of a buff there. And then the level 60 tier. So Tiger Tail Sweep is new because Leg Sweep is now baseline. So this will increase the range of Leg Sweep by 2 yards and reduces its cooldown by 10 seconds. So that's a nice ability there. And then Song of Chi-Ji. The only change to it is its cooldown is going up from 15 seconds to 30 seconds. Its effect is actually not changed. It still conjures a cloud of hypnotic mist that slowly travels forward. Enemies touched by the mist fall asleep. Disorients for 20 seconds. And then Ring of Peace is not changed. 45-second cooldown, you put it on the ground, and then enemies that enter the ring will get knocked back. And then for the level 75 tier, the only change to it has to do with Healing Elixir. So Healing Elixir had a second effect to it, which would automatically activate one of its charges if you dropped below 35% health. But as you see there, that effect is no longer part of it. So its effect is still the same at least. 30-second recharge, you drink it, and you get healed for 15% of your max health. And has two charges. And then Diffuse Magic is not changed. 1.5 minute cooldown, reduces magic damage taken by 60% for 6 seconds, and it transfers all currently active harmful magic effects on you back to their original caster, if possible. And then Dampen Harm is not changed. 2-minute cooldown reduces all damage you take by 20% to 50% for 10 seconds, with larger attacks being reduced by more. So yeah, it's not changed. Then for level 90 tier, we have Summon Jade Statue, 10-second cooldown. It had a change to it. Summon a Jade Serpent Statue at the target location. When you channel Soothing Mist, the statue will also begin to channel Soothing Mist on their target, healing them for a set amount every 0.91 second depending on your haste. Now on live, what this does is it heals the targets for 50% of the healing that Soothing Mist does, but this one just says like a strict amount. Let's see if it actually changes if I take my gear off. Okay, so I did take a few pieces of gear off, and that 250 did go down. So maybe it was just rewording to Summon Jade Serpent Statue, and it might still be 50% of the healing roughly that Soothing Mist does. But anyways, it says that it just heals for an amount now, not a percentage. And then for Refreshing Jade Wind, it was not changed at all, has a cooldown based around your haste, summons a whirling tornado around you causing some healing over some amount of seconds to 6 allies within 10 yards. So yeah, not changed. And then Invoke Chi-Ji, the Red Crane, a 3-minute cooldown, summons an effigy of Chi-Ji, the Red Crane, for 25 seconds. So that's the only change to it. It's lasting for 25 seconds now, down from the 45 seconds on live. And then Chi-Ji will heal nearby allies with Crane Heal for some amount. And then for the last tier, so it has 2 changes to it, 2 new abilities at least. Focus Thunder is not one of them. So Focus Thunder is unchanged. Thunder Focus Tea now empowers your next 2 spells. So yeah, not changed. Upwelling is new. So for every 6 seconds, Essence Font spends off cooldown, your next Essence Font may be channeled for 1 additional second. The duration of Essence Font's heal over time is increased by 4 seconds. So that's new. And then Rising Mist is also new. So Rising Sunkick heals all allies with your Renewing Mist, Enveloping Mist, or Essence Font for some amount, and extends those effects by 2 seconds. So those are all of the talents. Now let's take a look at the PvP talents. If you're unaware of how PvP talents will work in BFA, this is how it goes. You have this first bubble here. This first bubble gives you Adaptation, Relentless, or Gladiator's Medallion. You get to pick between one of those. You don't get all 3 of them. You get to pick between one of them. Just like on live, they're all in the first tier on live, and they're also not changed. Then these next 3 bubbles are a giant pool of your already existing PvP talents. So you can pick between any of these 3. So as you can tell, it's no longer on a tier system. Now as far as changes go, well, they have pruned a few of them. So like 3 you might really like on live that are the same tier. You can pick them in BFA as long as they're still part of the PvP talents, but there haven't really been a whole lot of changes. I think there have been a total of 4 changes to the PvP talents. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mouse over them. I'm going to read the name. If you want to know what they do, you can pause the video, or you can look at your Mistweaver monk. But for the ones that have changed, I will of course talk about what the change is. So we have Eminence, Way of the Crane, and the change for Way of the Crane is its cooldown is going up from 45 seconds to 1 minute. Increases your physical damage taken by 35%. On live, that's 30%. You remove and become immune to all snares and root effects, and you heal up to 3 nearby allies for 200%. On live, that's 185% of all damage done lasts 15 seconds. So it had its cooldown increased, but I think it was ultimately a buff because of everything else it gives you. And then Chrysalis, and the change to this is that it reduces the cooldown of Life Cocoon by 30 seconds. On live, that's 90 seconds. That change is mostly, probably at least, due to the fact that Life Cocoon's cooldown already went down by 1 minute. So it has a 2-minute cooldown. If it still went down by 90 seconds, then a 30-second cooldown Life Cocoon is way too OP. Then there's Counteract Magic, Dome of Mist, Surging Mist. Now Surging Mist is actually returning. This was removed in Legion, and what it does is it heals the targets for some amount and increases the healing they take from Surging Mist by 50% for 6 seconds, stacks up to 2 times. So this is returning. And there's Refreshing Breeze, Healing Sphere, Zen Focus Tea, Yulon's Gift, Fast Feet, and then Grapple Weapon, which is given to Mistweavers. This used to just be for Windwalkers, but now Mistweavers got it. It's a 1-minute cooldown. You fire off a rope spear, grappling the target's weapon, and shield returning them to you for 6 seconds. So it's a disarm. You can disarm people now in PvP. So those are all of the PvP talents, as well as all of the normal talents. And there you have it, all the changes coming to Mistweaver monks in the Battle for Azeroth beta. Now I'm curious to know what you guys think. Do you like these changes, or do you hate them? You can let me know in the comments below, but if you guys enjoyed this video, then you can leave a like on it, you can sub to the channel for more videos like this, and I'll see you guys in the next video.